Hi everyone, welcome to episode 4 of Beauty and Brains. I'm Shivani, your host from Don't Blink 1441. Today I'm here with Tanya Vijay. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much for having me on the podcast today. As Shivani mentioned, I'm Tanya. I'm a sophomore studying aerospace engineering at Purdue University with a minor in artificial intelligence and machine learning. At Purdue, a quick preview of things that I do out at university. I currently lead a two-stage rocketry team of about 80 students operating on a yearly design, build, and launch cycle. I'm excited to share that we're actually launching our doing some rocket launches this weekend on March 21st. So that's super exciting that that's coming up. I'm involved in several technical projects out on campus, but I'm also equally passionate about female empowerment, advocacy, and do a lot of work in that side of things as well. In my free time, I love baking, hanging out with friends, watching sci-fi, dystopian, any genre of movies. And yeah, thank you so much for having me on today. I can't wait for the rest of the conversation.
Yeah, of course. So one of my first questions is that you were selected for the highly competitive Brooke Owens Fellowship, is if that's correct. So what do you think made your application stand out compared to everybody else you were competing with?
Yeah, so obviously I can't speak on behalf of the selection team at Burke Owens. It is a tremendous honor to have been selected. I can't wait for the experience this summer. In terms of why I think I might have stood out from their perspective, it's one thing that I've been trying to do since high school and that I've continued in college is to be a really well-rounded engineer. I think coming from WWP, from the high school mindset that I came from, there's a lot of emphasis on being very, very technical focused, and spending all of your time on your technical teams and really perfecting your grades and mastering your GPA. But I think there's so much more to being an engineer than just being extremely technically adept. And while that is extremely important, I think one thing that the Brooke Owens Fellowship did look for was high technical involvement. So I was in my application, I mentioned the work I do leading my two-stage rocketry team. I mentioned work that I did with the NASA program, designing lunar rover. And all of those skills and those project experiences are extremely useful. But what they also look for is your non-technical, your skills as well. So some things that I mentioned on my application is I'm very passionate about STEM education and education equity. So I did a project the year before where I developed some curriculum for students in the U.S. Virgin Islands, and I kind of spoke about in my application kind of like what that experience taught me and the importance of advocacy in the STEM education, the women empowerment spaces. So I think perhaps that's one thing that the Brooke Owens Fellowship might have appreciated, the fact that I tried to balance technical skills as well as other passions and other interests, and I try to use my voice to help others. That's one thing that I did discuss in my application that potentially might have helped me stand out. Of course, can't speak on their behalf, but I think that the main takeaway is that it's just super important to be a well-rounded engineer and to just feed all of your interests, regardless of whether they're technical or not.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. And going back into First Tech Challenge, you were on an old girls team. So how do you think like that kind of environment shaped like your personal confidence and like your leadership roles and things like that, like your skills?
Yeah, so I was on First Aid Challenge for 5 years in the short circuits. Really learned a lot from my 5 years in FTC and definitely played a large role in shaping who I am as an engineer and a student today. So yeah, my team was co-ed for the first 2 years, and we transitioned to being an all-girls team. In terms of the experience on the technical side of things, I truly don't think it makes a difference whether you're a co-ed team or an all-girls team. It's just the people themselves that matter and the conversations you have and how you really make sure that everyone on your team can contribute, um, and can just put their all into whatever technical project you're working on. I truly don't think it matters whether you're an all-girls team or a co-ed team. The difference I do think it makes is for members just joining the engineering space and who are looking to grow their confidence in engineering, often it's well known that women are a minority in the engineering space. Even at Purdue, currently only 19% of the student body in the aerospace engineering is female. And that's definitely a percentage that we work every day to try to increase. And that percentage, that the fact that women are a minority in engineering is definitely something that still permeates into technical teams in high school as well. So being an all-girls team really put myself and the rest of my leadership team in a position to really encourage girls and young women in high school to shed any fear they have about joining a technical team, and to use my team as a space for them to grow and to make mistakes and to propose ideas no matter how crazy they may seem. I think that was really the true joy of being on an all-girls team is that I could see so many eighth graders, freshmen joining my team and having the opportunity to just learn and not be afraid of being judged by anyone else on our team or in any other competition environment. Um, and so yeah, it was a really great experience to work with girls of all ages, put together really a team diverse in grade, in ideas, and in like inspiration when it came to building our robot and putting together all of our other materials for the competition. But at the end of the day, I think regardless of gender, it just matters the people you put together in a team, how you foster that environment, and um, honestly, at the end of the day, as long as you look at everyone as equal on your team, it just makes for a great experience.
Yeah, definitely. And you did mention that you guys were a co-ed team for the first 2 years. And
Mhm.
during that transition or that switch, I know you said that like, gender doesn't really matter, but were there any like maybe even small things like in the di team dynamic or even in just like in general that you've seen like switch or not even major, maybe even minor changes?
Um, I think the in terms of the team dynamic, um, I don't think I observed too many differences between how the team really functioned, especially because even when we were a co-ed team, we were all friends. And so that made all the difference in that there were like not many barriers when it came to having honest conversations about each other's ideas, doing design reviews. We were all very comfortable sharing ideas, constructive criticism. I think perhaps the only difference is if we had so like perhaps an older member of our team who was male and then a younger member of our team who was female, perhaps like there might have been, if you were a younger female on the team, it might have been more intimidated by an older team member, regardless of whether they were male or female. Um, but other than that, I don't think there were many differences in the transition between male and female. It was honestly a very natural transition. The only reason we became an all-female team was because the male members of our team graduated out. And then we happened to have all female members, and then seeing that our team happened to become all female, that just placed us in a great opportunity to really capitalize and the fact that we could now brand ourselves as an all-female team and use that to really encourage and host outreach events and reach out to younger females who are aspiring to become engineers. And to use our team as an example of how much you can accomplish as an all-girls team, and that you don't, being a female puts you at no disadvantage in the engineering space. And so while the transition is quite natural, I think it was a really tremendous opportunity that fell at our feet to really capitalize on this outreach and advocacy opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. That's great to hear. So now obviously like all these amazing things happening in FTC and where you are now, like what were maybe like some of the challenges, like something that didn't necessarily go as planned and how you moved on from that and maybe like lessons that you will learn from it and like that you'll take away?
Yeah, definitely. As you definitely know, being on an FTC team yourself, not everything goes to plan. We design things, we CAD things, we 3D print them, and then they break on the field. And that happened more times than I'd like to admit, on our team. There's one mechanism in particular that gave my team a lot of pain, um, during, I'm forgetting which season, I believe it was Freight Frenzy. Um, Whichever season it was, we were building a double reverse four bar. And I remember we had CAD'd that, we did all the analysis, figured out the torque of our motors we needed, figured out the gear ratios in order to really transfer the torque from the motor to the linkages in our four bar. And we had so many issues in the field with our motors not being able to generate enough torque for the four bar to actually lift, and function as we had planned it to do. And that mechanism took years off my life in terms of how much stress it gave our team, but it honestly provided a lot of learning experiences that I can still talk about and use in my project experiences right now. So, for example, given that the design didn't work the first time through, that really gave me an opportunity to have to troubleshoot and do a lot of analyses in the background. So we worked through a lot of math. We were using a lot like the knowledge that we learned in like AP physics in school. I was using that knowledge to really calculate the moment of inertia of our linkages and figure out like how that would affect like the gear ratios and how much torque would transfer into the end of the linkage. We were doing basic analyses in FEA using ANSYS, so finite element analysis in ANSYS to really understand where the maximal load was on each of our linkages to see where it was most likely to fail. Doing vibrational analysis to see where we needed to mount struts in between our linkages to minimize vibration. Um, and then 3D printing iteration after iteration, doing fast prototyping and problem solving. All of these skills that in the moment just felt so painful are looking back at that experience, things that I have really been able to capitalize and expand upon in my current learning project experiences at Purdue. So that's just one example of a specific mechanism that took a lot of time, a lot of iteration, a lot of problem solving, but every single team goes through this exact experience with some part of the robot or another. And in the moment, it may feel like a lot of work, but looking back, it just teaches you a lot about what it takes to take a project to completion. Um, and that was just one of the experiences I took away from FTC, just across the board, learning how to CAD, how to create CAM, Fusion 360, how to machine using 3D printers, CNC mills, bill of materials management, project management, leadership, teamwork. There are just so many skills I took away from FTC that really allowed me to jump into project and team experiences in university that really experiences that I would are extremely invaluable for me. So really enjoyed my time at FTC and would not trade it for anything in the world.
Yeah, definitely. And, you mentioned a lot of challenges on the technical side, but, with that scenario, what do you think are like some t things that you learned, like in the, keeping team morale up, even though it's still not working, or even just like splitting up work to make sure that you guys can get it working, like lessons learned on kind of like the non-technical management side?
Yeah, absolutely. So there were a lot of those that I definitely learned over my years as mechanical captain. So I served as mechanical captain for the latter 4 years of my five years in FTC, and um, I learned a lot being in leadership in high school. It definitely was came my fourth year as mechanical captain was much better than my first, and that's just how it is with leadership. Um, and there are definitely so many lessons that I learned along the way. So a couple, I guess I could share. The first one is that it really helps to make sure your team understands and that you repeat it multiple times that your space in the team is a safe space and that there's always room to make mistakes. And if they do, it's truly no one's fault. Anyone could have made the mistake, and it teaches everyone something about what the problem they were trying to solve. So just making sure that everyone understands that your team is a safe space and that you're all here for each other to ask each other questions, to learn, to laugh about things you mess up on. I think that's extremely important, especially because you're on a student team. Like you have to be scrappy. You're not going to have industry grade materials or parts or resources. So you just have to use what you have and work with it. And I think that's important for your team to understand. And another thing that I think I realized as I progressed in leadership is that it's really important for your team to feel like they have a stake in the project you're working on. Um, like making sure people know that they have a part of the robot or whatever project that they're accountable for, and that if it succeeds, that success is definitely partially due to them, and if it fails, it's not their fault. It's the whole team's part, but they have a responsibility. They have to really take that part under their wing and take ownership of that part. And I think that's just super important because it really keeps the whole team engaged, keeps the whole team excited about the project, knowing that they themselves have a stake in the final result. So the way that we kind of implemented that was by tracking action items. Um, and having each team member kind of sign up for tasks that we're going to complete each week and report back the next work day on their progress, on that part, on that task, whatever it was they were assigned to. So having their action items really written down and solidified somewhere really ensured that every person on the team felt like they had a contributing stake to the team's end goal. I think that I find that really helpful to really keeping team morale up. And the third thing was making sure that everyone on your team is friends. So just having fun together, organizing um, bonding events, just doing things to make like outside of FTC, outside of your robot, outside of your technical work, to make sure that everyone truly likes each other on your team and likes spending time together. Because when it comes down to it, it's the people that really make the experience what it is. So that's one thing I've truly tried to carry forward with me into my current leadership experiences. For example, I mentioned how we're launching a rocket this weekend, actually March 21st and 22nd. And on the second day of my competition, I'm taking my team out to go watch Project Hail Mary in theaters. So hopefully, regardless of what happens to our rocket, we'll all get to watch a movie together, eat dinner together. And yeah, I think that that just makes project experiences so much better when you truly like the people that you're working on the project with.
Yeah, like that plays a lot into like the teamwork of it all and like, I think like being able to like split up things when you know that you can fully trust the other person that you're giving it to and
Yeah,
things like that, I think plays a lot into it.
absolutely.
And
Definitely, yeah.
just like another question, like, do you think that having um all girls teams have a really big, and we'll talk about like FTC in gen or maybe just like in general, like has a big impact on STEM today? And a lot of all girls teams are coming up now, like especially, and how like do you think that's impacted like kind of like first organization in total, and like how like do you think they're important to STEM today and how important, and like just kind of like all that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's truly amazing to hear how many girls are entering the engineering space, and I'm so glad to hear that. And I do think it's incredibly important for all girls organizations to really to have their moment in the light and to be able to participate in all these STEM and engineering opportunities just as much as their male counterparts. And yeah, it's truly amazing to hear that there's so many all-female organizations popping up in the engineering space. I think it's the true importance of it lies in the fact that it creates visibility for females in engineering so that younger girls, um, girls of like or students of all genders can really see that there's a space for them in the engineering industry, and that they don't have to self-select out of opportunities just because they don't see anyone older than them participating in the activities that they're interested in. Um, and yeah, I think it's truly important to see so much diversity in the engineering space, and I'm super glad to see that happening. That's always something I was trying to work towards during my time in FTC as well. I was working on organizing tech talks for NJ STEM girls. And it was truly great to see so many girls come out, listen to us talk about how to learn how to CAD an Onshape or how to 3D print, how to use CNC mills, how to write a good engineering portfolio, how to network. Seeing so many girls really come and choose to upskill and to try to learn as much as they can so they can stand out, take on leadership positions on their own teams, build the confidence to try anything they want to take on bigger challenges. That was truly a gratifying experience to see so many girls take those opportunities when I was in high school. So yeah, I'm super excited to see so many girls, so many new students entering the engineering space, and I can't wait to see where that takes us.
Yeah, I think like the main importance is going into like just like having awareness that like, it is a safe space and there's people who are like me or like any other little girl who's trying to get into STEM, like being
Yeah,
able to kind of like see themselves like in that position. So that I feel like I also agree like that main importance just comes down to like visibility and like kind of motivation that
yeah.
there is like girls in STEM. And um I mean, like we don't blink. We had states like yesterday, and
Okay.
we were like pit next to an old girls team, and like just seeing their representation was just like great. Like, they're all pink stuff. Like it's just like it's really like great to see. And like even with this podcast, like that's exactly what we're trying to do. Like it's trying to get like all girls awareness. Like yesterday we were wearing like pink boas and like lace to like get the awareness. Like our drag team was
Yeah.
dressed up with pink boas. Like
Oh, that's
it's just like
amazing.
it's just like the factor of like awareness, I think. So although like of course there are all girls teams, like there isn't as much awareness as you would think. I mean, like but First has been doing a great job with like First Like a Girl. Like that's been doing
Mm,
really good. Like a lot of teams representing that, which is really like just great to see. Like it's an amazing
absolutely.
experience.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, like I remember going into FTC like really intimidated by the fact that like I would walk around to the other side of the academy and they were mostly just like guys and I was like, wait. And finally joining the team and like half of our team like is like female, like 50% of our team at this point. So it's like it's amazing. Like I think that transition has done a lot for First or not even just First, like just like STEM in general. Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I
So,
think that's something that continues in college, seeing like in organizations like Women in Aerospace and Society of Women Engineers, there are just so many organizations that are trying so hard to bring girls into engineering, to create technical teams that are all girls, that if you're
mhm.
that the girls who are intimidated to enter the engineering space have a place to really learn technical skills in a low stress environment. So it's really great to see that across the
Yeah.
board.
Yeah, 100%. And like with that, like, is there like any advice you would give to like young girls wanting to do STEM or like even just like again like in that first environment like FLL, FTC, anything like do you have any advice?
Yeah, well, it's truly crazy to be on the other side of things. When a couple years ago, I was in first and I was asking other people for advice, but I'll share what I can based on what I've learned so far in my 2 years in university. But one thing I'd say is to say yes to any opportunity to learn, to challenge yourself. There are just so many places that you can learn from, so many people you can learn from. I've made it like my goal to put myself in rooms and in places where I am not nearly the smartest person in the room. Because that's when I truly am challenged to learn and to ask questions. And I've I've heard from so many of my experiences so far that people truly want you to ask questions. Sometimes it's an ego boost when you ask them a question that they know how to answer and they can answer it for you. That makes them feel good, and then I learn something in the process. So it's really a win-win situation. Um, and it's also really important to just not underestimate yourself, not self-select out of opportunities, because there's so many people out there um, who are looking to empower others, and you just have to put yourself in a position and show them that you're interested. Um, it's all about standing up for yourself, really advocating for yourself and like not self-selecting out of any opportunity. I think that's been super important to me is really putting myself out there. And one thing that comes with that is in high school, I didn't realize how important networking was. I didn't even know networking was a thing 2 years ago. And now it's truly showing to me how important networking is. Um, to get a job, to get an internship, to get into a club you're interested in, it's more than just technical skills. We're looking for social and professional skills. And that's something I truly didn't realize until 2 years ago. Um, and one of the best ways that I've learned to network is just by going to as many network events as possible around campus, going to a bunch of club call outs, um, just reaching out to people, to upperclassmen who have done things that I'm interested in, and just asking to get coffee or asking to chat, asking to show up after work and talk to them about what they're working on, go to their lab, things like that. Just having these informal conversations that could lead to professional connections is super important and something that's really helped me expand my involvement in technical endeavors at Purdue. And something that I think definitely is achievable for people in first is first of all, talking to as many technical teams as you can, talking to their mentors, trying to get as many mentors for your team as possible. Um, so that you can really speak to people in industry before you get to industry yourself is a super great way to do so. And then the final way is I think getting your LinkedIn profile up and updated early. So regardless of what you've done so far, putting that on your LinkedIn and then messaging people on LinkedIn is a really great way to get connections. Um, what I did back in October was I got LinkedIn Premium free for a month, and then I messaged so many people, like hundreds of people that I was interested in their work, in their company. And I heard back from so many of them. I was super surprised by the turnover rate. I got so many messages back, people willing to hop on a call with me to talk about their work, to be my mentor, to review my resume. There are just so many people out there who are just willing to help out. You just need to reach out first. So never underestimate the power of LinkedIn. So definitely one of my favorite. social medias now. It just
Yeah.
does everything for me. So highly recommend updating your LinkedIn as soon as you can. But yeah, just say yes to everything and just try whatever you can, what you have time for. I think it really makes all the difference if you just like try to get involved as many things as you can to see what sticks.
Yeah, definitely like putting yourself out there a little bit. So we are coming to the end of my time, unfortunately, and I just wanted to say thank you so much. Everything that you said was truly great. Like advice that you gave was really good, and I definitely agree with a lot of your points about like old girls teams and awareness and visibility, definitely. So again, like thank you, and to the viewers, that is the end of today's episode of Beauty and Brains. Thank you so much for listening, and I'd love to see you guys next Sunday for the next one. So thank you.
Thank you so much.